too. We'll see what happens. Since it's a
Nice.
Battle for Text show, I'll try to do the intro. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's okay, because it doesn't work sometimes. You'll see it, but
All right.
let's see. So Facebook, we're still going to Facebook for now.
Okay.
Uh, Twitch someday probably. I'm hoping. Let's see. Will and Jamie Duality Podcast. Take two. I'm just gonna call it Take Two today because we don't really know what the fuck we're doing. So
I'm streaming on mine, so all of you watching me on the Twitch.
hello.
Hello. Hello.
That could be the intro, buddy. I like it. There.
We'll leave that part out.
No, I like that part. That was a good part. Okay, I think. Oh, there it goes. All right, guys, we're live. My name's Will,
And I'm Jamie.
and this is the Duality Podcast. Again,
Or as I like to call it, your mom.
your mom.
Oh,
Okay,
my mom, sorry.
your mom. Okay,
My mom's
your
alive.
mom.
Yeah.
All right,
I keep
and we're gonna talk about anything, everything, and nothing, as usual. And here, watch this. Here we go. We're gonna try this. Ready?
me likey.
We're gonna talk about anything, everything, I know you couldn't
nothing.
hear it, but it was really cool. Trust me,
And
it
here,
sounded
watch
really
this.
good. Here we go. We're gonna try this. So,
Me likey.
all right. Oh, now I hear it on. I hear
You know
it
what?
coming out.
You heard it because I'm watching the I turned on Facebook.
Oh, did you?
That's why you heard it. Yeah.
Which reminds me, I guess I better load up the old Facebook.
Well, that was
Yeah.
the reason. I went to it so I could
Watch the chat.
watch the chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We'll see what happens.
anyways.
Hopefully, it won't start playing without my consent. Okay, good. Okay. So yeah, we're back here on Facebook this week. Jamie and I were gonna talk about a few things here and there. We're, like I said, we're still working things out. We're working through it, and I appreciate all you guys that come and hang out with us and put up with our tomfoolery, because that's what we do.
Do we do tomfoolery?
I think we do. I think that's what it should be called. My hands. I noticed I moved my camera a little bit, and I still feel like I have to raise my hands really high to get them in there.
Tomfoolery.
Yeah, tomfoolery, everything, anything, and nothing. Isn't that what you said? You coined that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I put that on the. Yeah.
I like it. It
So-
reminds me of stuff.
It does.
And
It
nothing,
reminds me of
and
stuff,
everything.
and absolutely.
And
So I guess we're just gonna start out with anything new and exciting happening in our personal lives this week. Is that what you said?
yeah, man.
I think that's what Jamie said. So
yeah.
we're gonna roll with that.
Well, one of the things that I want to be able to talk with you every week is that because we don't live near each other, there's going
Right.
to be that we're going to have a lot of different things going on around in the world that we live in. So now, what do old friends talk about? What's the first thing they always talk about when they haven't seen each other in a while? Hey, man, how's the
Beer.
no?
Oh, weather.
How's the weather? Well, I want
Yeah,
to tell you
how's the weather?
something. I don't know about it in Colorado or Colorado. I don't know how you say that. Colorado.
Colorado.
Okay, Colorado. I don't know how it is there, but in the state of Tennessee, we can go through all the seasons within about 10 days. Okay, and last week it was nice and I mean, like frost outside, like hard freezes. And today, literally, you know this, nobody else does, but just before we came on camera, my wife was like, "Listen, we got to turn the air on because it is blazing hot in this house. It's in almost 90 degrees outside, and the inside of the house is hot. So that is something that's going on around here. We had almost freezing last week with like 3 or 4 days ago, and then now today it's blazing. So
Well, Colorado is very similar to that, except we can do all the seasons in one day. So it was hotter than hell the end of last week, all weekend long, and then like Tuesday it's snowing again, and then it's raining, and then there was hail, and then there was all this other stuff, and there's cold winds, and like this morning, it was raining when I walked out. The day before I walked out, it was like everything was fine, but it was like really cold, so I had to wear my big jacket. And then today I wore my leather jacket because it's better for the rain than my winter coat.
Right.
So it's like I've gone through a whole bunch of different wardrobe changes all week long so far. So
Uh,
yeah, it's been crazy. Colorado is nuts, man. It's just you just never know what you're gonna get. It's like a box of chocolates.
That's crazy. Well, that it is what it is around here. I mean, you take it's also been really rainy here too. I mean, like
Well,
really.
I was gonna say, isn't Tennessee kind of a rainy
Well,
place
no,
anyway?
not normally. We are 6 inches above our normal for this time of year.
That's average size, right?
I knew you were gonna say that. It all
I
depends who's
gotta.
measuring. I was as soon
I
as
use a shorter ruler, so it's
as
long.
soon
Yeah.
as I said 6 inches, I knew that there was
You
going to
knew
be
that was
yeah,
coming.
I
You
knew it
knew
was
there was a
coming. So
joke coming. Oh, sorry.
anyways, no, but
Sorry to kill your thunder.
Tennessee it doesn't typically rain like this, like it has been. I mean, there's a meme floating around on the Facebook with Chris Farley. That one character
Uh,
he does. For the love of God, will it stop raining?
well, yeah, we have the same ones with snow. We're
Oh,
like,
okay.
oh, it's like spring came, but then winter was like, and another thing. That's how we get.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty funny.
Well, that was.
Oh,
I have a friend that lives in Colorado somewhere that he said it was snowing like yesterday or today or
yeah,
something.
it was just that's what I'm saying. It was cold and it snowed, then it rained, now it's hail, and everything happened. It just all happens
Uh,
quickly.
uh,
So yeah, but I guess because I have family in Alabama,
uh-huh.
and Alabama was real muggy.
It's
So I
hot,
figured
yeah.
Tennessee's pretty close.
Yeah.
So maybe they have similar weather there.
Yeah, I mean
That's
it's the
probably where I
it's
was
the
from.
state right below us, but
Yeah.
we kind of live in a little basin where in the Nashville area, so
Ah,
the
okay.
weather gets kind of odd here.
Yeah.
It'll snow and it'll rain, it'll do all kinds of stuff, but it happens all just like your area. It happens
Yeah.
all at one time.
It's just
So
wicked, man. You just never know. You just walk out. Every morning you walk out there, it's a surprise.
yes,
You,
exactly,
you expect one thing and you get something completely different.
exactly.
It's like,
Well, that's
oh, man.
I had to today. Actually had a rare day off because it's getting close to the end of school, and of course, if those of you don't know, I'm a substitute teacher, and we're getting close to the end of school, and so there's not a lot of teachers are trying to stay in for the last little bit of school.
Yeah.
But I had a rare day off, so I decided, I'm going to clean up my Jeep and I'm going to do all kinds of stuff. And then I was like, I got to cut this yard. And I said, if I don't cut it in 2 days, it's gonna be raining cats and dogs outside. So, like, oh, makes me
Yeah.
crazy. But anyways,
Oh.
so I mean,
Well,
we
we
don't
don't
have
want
to
you too crazy.
we
We
don't
don't
have to
want you
talk
too
about the
crazy.
weather anymore. Hey, but I do want
All
to
right.
give
All right.
I want to give
What
a
about the
little
beer?
I want to get well that too. I want to give a heads up for next week. Next week we're going to be talking a little Avengers Infinity War. Okay, now I went and saw it yesterday because I assumed that my counterpart, uh, twin brother from another mother on the other side, I'm assumed that he went and saw the movie
Well, if he
and
could have just sent me an email,
he could have.
said, "Yo, are you gonna go see this weekend?" I'd be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, if you are, yeah, I'll go." I would have got out of the house for that. I would have been like, "Oh, okay, no problem," because I got a great theater for that shit. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
watch it on the nice
So,
theater.
anyways, I saw it this week, and so next week we'll talk about it a little bit more. I will say this. I want to say one thing about the movie.
Do I
Okay.
want to go watch it? Do I really want to
I
go watch
mean,
it?
yeah.
No?
I mean, there. It was without being spoilery or no spoil alerts or anything like that. It was not exactly what I expected. Now keep in mind, I am a Star Wars fan. Okay, and when the last movie came out, which eventually we'll talk about that too, but when the last
Yeah,
movie came out, a lot of people were not happy because it wasn't what they expected. I think
of course.
this time there's not as many people complaining, but they still weren't expecting quite what happened in this movie to
in,
happen.
in
So
Infinity Wars, yeah,
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 but it's
because
the beginning.
they don't have 40 years of buildup coming for
Yeah,
this
but it's
one.
a beginning. It's a beginning,
Yeah,
and then the next movie is literally coming out next year this time. So there's not a 2 year gap in between these Avengers movies now. The
yeah,
next whatever the Avengers 4 is, that's going to be next year. I mean, so um,
yeah.
which with Star Wars, it always like 2015, 2017, 2000. That kind of thing. That's where
Yeah,
they
but
kind of.
before the first three, it was
Oh,
many years between
oh
them.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was
Yeah,
that was
4,
the
5, and 6.
that was the old days. You
That was
mean
the good days. You mean back in the good
before it
days?
was A
Yeah.
New Hope,
Back,
just
make
Star
Star
Wars?
Wars great again. That's what
Exactly,
I'm saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys notice, well, now that we're talking about Star Wars, everybody knows that. Of course, I'm rubbing my chest, but it has nothing to do with my chest. It has everything to do with
It's your nipples.
Darth Va- Darth Vader. Nothing
Why are
about
you
my
wearing
nip.
my shirt?
Yeah,
I'm wearing.
exactly. See, I'm wearing a Darth Vader shirt, and I don't normally wear a Darth Vader shirt. I'm a light side guy, but it is May
Yeah.
4th coming up tomorrow,
Yeah.
and so
And
that's
Revenge of the Fifth is the
and
day after.
Revenge of the Fifth, or as I like to call it, Cinco de Mayo.
I'm
Revenge.
sure in certain circles, yeah, that
I
works. But
call it Montezuma's revenge that
it's
day.
it's
So
it's a good day to go out and drink. That's for sure.
yes, exactly. So, anyways, that's
Which I'll do.
that's that's happening, and the only thing that I regret about this May 4th is that I didn't find any parties like I don't know about you, but you probably like the bar atmosphere, right? The because you were
Yeah.
a karaoke guy.
I
You had
worked in them in most
you
of my life.
worked
Yeah.
in karaoke's and that kind of thing. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not real. I don't like them all that much, you know. So for me to me, I live now. Listen, I live a little bit not in Nashville. I live about 35, 40 minutes south of Nashville,
Uh
and
huh.
for me to drive into Nashville, go to a party like a Star Wars party at some place in the middle of the night, and then have to
Yeah.
drive back 40 minutes is
That get a
not
little rough.
something that is exciting to me. But I was looking for.
Yeah.
I found out that we have a local minor league baseball team, the Nashville Sounds, that was going to be having Star Wars nights. But I was like,
Yeah.
what? I don't think that those sports people are the kind of people that would like when a guy shows up with a Jedi outfit on. And so I was a little disappointed, you know.
What?
They probably would. Probably if I
That's
put a
crazy.
baseball cap on, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're out, start yelling things like that,
Well, one of
that
these
kind of thing.
shows, you and I, we're gonna do a little cosplay. I'll bring
Sure,
my suit.
absolutely.
You bring your suit,
Absolutely.
and we call it good. Yeah, I think that'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun. It might be weird. I don't know. We'll see. Mine works with the headset, so it's
Yeah. Well,
cool. But
maybe that can be the episode that we bring on a couple guests that are also cosplayers,
ooh,
and
yeah, we
we
gotta
and
get
we
some.
and we can maybe some experienced cosplayers. So
Maybe we can
so
get Jessica Negri. I like her. She's
who's
really
she?
awesome.
Who's
You
she?
just trust me. Google that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
when the wife's not home.
I'm trying to point at the things here in the right places. Here we go.
Oh,
That's it, harder than it looks like. Anyways, where our battle blades are floating right there, it'd be nice if not only we had cosplayers, but like you said, people that were good, experienced cosplayers, so we could ask them some
yeah,
questions. Because
yeah.
I have I've never been to a Comic Con before, and that's one of my things on my bucket list that I want to do. You know.
Well, I think we needed to go on. I think we need to go to something. So, you and I think that could be a nice. We could do a podcast from a Comic Con or something.
Yeah, I would listen. You know what would be fun is if we figured out some place that we could, like in between. What would be in between Colorado and Tennessee? Texas maybe, or Oklahoma or something like that. I bet Texas.
Texas is
I
good.
bet Texas has got.
Texas is good because that's where a lot of games are made. So that'd be a
Yeah.
good play. And they do have good Comic Cons there. But the other places would be like California. Uh, that's
But
kind of far though.
when I
But
go
for
to
you, it's not so
Calif-
far for me. But
California, to me, I mean, whenever I just think of California, I
well,
can't
if you
I
want
can't I
the
can't
like,
hack
if
it.
you want the professional, here, let
Uh-huh.
me air quote that
Mhm.
professional cosplayers.
Right.
California is if
That's the
you go to
place.
San
San Diego.
Francisco, San Diego, yeah, that's where you got to go. But there are good ones in Texas. There's like, I think I don't know. We'll have to figure out. I don't remember where TwitchCon is. We'll have to see where that's at.
Yeah.
TwitchCon would be another good one because that's where I think that's eventually where we'll end up with
Hmm.
this is on Twitch.
Yeah.
You and I both, and you're streaming to Twitch now, right?
Yep, I am.
Okay.
I
So,
guess if it's working.
well, somebody was asking about it, and speaking of that, Robert Gates said hello. How are you?
Hey,
Jamie, that's you.
that's
So
me.
that's not me. He doesn't give a shit how I'm doing. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I
You
mean,
know, everybody's got their fans, right?
well, you have your likable people and you have your unlikable people.
Whoa, here we go.
I'm one
Here
of
we
the
go, bro.
shots
Bro's getting alpha uppity.
as somebody used to say on when we used to play games. Shots fired, shots fired. Who was that
Schultz
guy?
file.
Who said that? One of your guys in
Oh,
the.
I can't remember. A lot of them did. Oh, Alpha. It sounds like Alpha.
Yeah, yeah. Shots
Or was
fired,
it?
shots fired. And I know that my accent almost sounds like Sean Connery.
Sean
Yeah,
Connery. Yeah, that's what I was
shots
thinking.
fired. And I, I listen. If there's anybody that's Scottish out there that I just abused your language, I'm sorry. I'm not
Yeah,
doing that
that's
on
okay.
purpose.
This is a comedy show. We're just
Yeah,
being funny,
exactly. So, anyways,
right?
so that I think that would be a great idea. First off, having people in to do a podcast, but also, meet because listen, if I said, "Hey, I'm gonna figure out a way to go out to this Comic Con," I would do it, and I mean, I just would save for it and do it because they're expensive. Those
Yeah.
things are.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Well, unless we can get cheap rooms, but I think I would love to go to like TwitchCon or any kind of Comic Con, really. I mean,
Would we?
or a developer conference, or
Could we stay in the same room?
I snore like crazy, but yeah,
I
you
mean,
could. Yeah, I'm loud.
we could sleep in the same bed, I guess.
No, 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 no.
I'm just kidding. No, it's a
No, because it's not that I wouldn't, but I wouldn't tell these guys about it because they'll just rip us about it the whole time. They'll rip us about it every show for the rest of our
That's right.
lives.
And then I'll have to tell a story about rolling over in the middle of the night, putting my hand between two
Oh
pillows,
yeah,
and then it
yeah,
wasn't two pillows. It was you.
and then I'll have to tell them I liked it, and then they'll be
Yeah,
all
yeah,
upset.
yeah, exactly.
I'll
Then
say
then
that felt really good.
then I get a
Something was tickling my
divorce.
butt all night, and I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was.
Then I get a divorce, and it's all bad.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah, yeah,
downhill
yeah,
from there.
yeah.
So, okay, so
There's
we'll
yeah. Well, we
double
could ask
heads.
Doctor. Well, Doctor Phil's overseas though. He could tell us where the best Comic Cons are, but I don't know if he knows the American ones. But he's on the chat now.
Oh
So
yeah. So no, I just think that would be a fun thing to do. And then
yeah.
I have watched Big Bang Theory before, of course. I think I've mentioned that before. And it's
We did.
one of my
Or you did.
one of my favorite TV shows. But I remember one time they were buying tickets for San Diego Comic Con, and they all were sitting with their laptops, and they said, "Okay, it's about to open," and they were hitting, like
Yeah.
refresh, 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 refresh,
Yeah.
refresh, and they didn't get tickets. And I'm like, is it really
Yeah.
like that? Is it really like that?
It is. I mean, King or North had an experience like that when he was trying to buy tickets for TennoCon, which is up in Canada.
Uh huh.
And he had the same thing. He just, when they put them on sale, they sold like hotcakes, and 10 minutes they were gone, and he couldn't. The page wouldn't work and all this
Hmm.
stuff. I mean, I'm sure there are some cons like that. I don't know if all Comic Cons are like that, but I mean, if it was, I'd just be like, well, I'm not going then. But because we have to make a lot of plans. We got to get rooms, and we got to make
Sure.
take time off from work or wives or whatever,
Yeah.
and then we got to make that. We'd have to plan that ahead of time. So
Sure. So
yeah,
that might be something for down the road. So
yeah, that's
so
something
so
we're
our
thinking
so
about.
so our idea with people joining us on the battle blades
Yeah.
might be easier to do. But
Well, we're
what that
gonna
would
we're gonna do that too.
what that would do is that would give us some people that have been to some of these things before, and give us
Yeah.
some ideas of some things that we can do, that kind of thing. You see, Phil was saying that San Diego Comic Con sold out in 3 minutes last year.
Okay. Well, see there, it is a thing then. It's a
Sheesh.
thing. See, he would know because he goes to those things all the time. I've never been brave enough to go. And I wouldn't unless I went with somebody like you. I would be afraid to dress up to go to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'd be afraid even with you.
Yeah. But
Well,
I'd feel comfortable knowing like, well, he looks stupid too, so then
yeah.
I'm okay.
Well, I follow a on I don't know if it's on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram. I follow some cosplay group, and the other day, and it made me think about something you said that cosplayers are very forgiving, and it
I
doesn't
think the
matter.
more the bigger ones are. I don't know about the
Yeah.
little,
Well, I don't know that, but here's the thing.
uh,
I'm talking about just cosplay people in general,
yeah.
is that if you're no matter what your body size, no matter what your body, how you feel
Yeah.
about yourself, they don't care. And they showed this picture of this very large woman with an outfit on, and I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh. But then I read the caption underneath it, and I felt kind of bad because I was like, because it said, whether you buy your costume or you make your costume or you're the perfect body size or whatever, we're here for you, and I think that's what cosplayers, the
Yeah.
ones that are real cosplayers have been doing it a while. They don't
I feel
care.
like it's a safe space for
Yeah,
them.
it
I think
is.
that's kind of a yeah.
Exactly. It's a safe space. And so, where you and I would feel a little uncomfortable because we've never done it before, I think that once you get in there and you're in your costume and you're walking around and you see other people, and you know what? People might critique you. They might say,
Yeah.
"Oh, you bought that off the
What
shelf," or
what are you dressed up as?
"Yeah, what are you dressed up as, boy?" Or
Evil something.
or maybe people, better yet, maybe people come up and say, hey, you can get a better material to make that this or whatever
Yeah,
from this
right.
place.
Yeah.
No, no. Well, they
Yeah.
say,
I get it, but yeah, it's
that's
like well,
fine, but you can do this is where you can get it from, and you can get ideas and see that's what I'm
that's a
guessing
good
it probably
call,
would
yeah.
be.
Because I just use Amazon or internet and go, I want something like this, and then I find these little websites that have
Yeah.
them, and
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Because I'm not like somebody that's gonna like sew together an outfit. I'm just
Yeah.
not
I
that
think my Obi-Wan Kenobi costume cost me probably after everything, maybe 180, 190 bucks.
guy. Oh
That's
wow.
that's quite a bit, but that's
Yeah.
nothing in if compared to if you were to buy a high quality outfit. Now it looks good, but it's not the highest quality you can get. I mean, there
Hmm.
are some people out
Yeah.
there and the main thing that you gotta, if you're a cosplayer, you have to be on Etsy.
Etsy. I'm not on that.
You know what Etsy is?
No.
Etsy is a place where you can go buy things that people make. Like you can even buy kits.
Oh.
Like you can buy like kits for like somebody will build a Blade Runner gun that they do it on a 3D printer, and you can find the kit that they made for it, and you can
Oh.
buy it
Yeah.
from Etsy. People make things and put it on Etsy. So, and the only reason
Yeah.
why
Okay.
I don't know too much about that, because man, that is really a girl thing. But I mean, for the most part, it's like Pinterest. You've ever heard of Pinterest?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, we usually don't typically admit to knowing what Pinterest is, but I will tell you
Yeah. I
that
didn't.
I
I
go and
wasn't
look at
sure
it
what
all the
you were
time.
talking.
Yeah, I go and look at it
Yeah.
all the time.
No. Yeah. I don't use it, but
I don't
I know
pin
of it.
boards, but I look at stuff. My
It's
wife's
not
always
something that I could use for Battle
my
Vortex. Like.
wife's always pinning boards like the the bows that go on the back of this or that, or
Well,
the
you can watch
color.
cosplayers on Twitch making their outfits too. They got a
I know.
category,
Oh, well,
and I watch some of that sometimes. I'm like, whoa.
one
They're
of my favorite TV shows or YouTube channels is Tested. Adam Savage,
yeah.
from used to be with
Okay.
MythBusters, Tested,
Okay.
and the Tested
Yeah.
thing, he does builds, he does builds cosplay, he does cosplay where he does incognito, where he tries to get people on, to figure out who he is, and he's done Chewbacca, he's done all Totoro, from those,
Oh my.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all these different characters he's done, and they're great, so. Um,
Yeah.
so, anyways, it's one of those things that we have. I'm interested in doing, but whether or not I get a chance to do it or not, may
Yeah.
not, may not
Well,
ever
we'll have to
happen.
see.
So,
Like I said, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think Texas would probably be easier for us to get into.
sure,
I don't know.
absolutely.
Yeah, if it's gonna sell out in 30 seconds in San Francisco, it's not worth the trying it.
Well, that's the point. That's what I was saying, is that there are a lot of them. Like there's one in Atlanta called Dragon Con that's pretty popular. Now it's only
Yeah.
4 hours for me. That's quite a bit farther for you. But if we found something in the middle, it'd be kind of fun to try, though. But so
Yeah. No, that sounds like a good idea.
so
We'll have to check that out and see where we can go.
sure,
Because there's lots of cons in the United States.
absolutely.
There's even ones in I don't know if Colorado's would be any good, but they do have them here
No,
too.
no,
But
that's the thing. I think a lot of there's so many right now. We are in the heyday of Comic Cons.
Right.
You can
Yeah.
every week there are tons of Comic Cons floating around, and every week there are overweight guys that are walking around in costumes, and they feel just fine doing it. So I'm just telling you,
That's right. Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
know.
do it one of these
I know.
days.
They're not as pretty as we are, but
Oh
I
yeah,
can
no,
understand. Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Well, I
No.
will tell you when I went and saw the Last Jedi. Okay, the first day I had my outfit. The first day that I went on Thursday when it came out. It came out on
Yeah.
Friday. I went on that Thursday night, and my daughter bought tickets, and we were there with her. And I asked her before, I said, "Can I wear my Obi-Wan Kenobi outfit?" And she said no.
No.
She said, uh, "Uh, "Costumes are for Comic Cons and Halloween, Dad."
Oh
So,
wow.
I did not wear it, but there were other people wearing their costumes there. So, to remedy that situation, I went back and saw it the next day with my wife, and we wore our. Uh, I wore my Obi-Wan, she wore her Princess Leia, and you know what? We had people taking pictures with us, and it was fun. It was
Yeah.
a really,
Exactly.
it was a really good time, and if we'd have been there the day before, I think it would have been a lot funner. Funner, is
Yeah.
that a word? I don't know
More
if funner
fun.
is a
Yeah.
word, but I like
Whatever.
funner better than more fun, so I'm gonna stick
There's
with
no,
it. But
there's no there's no graph or grammar Nazis around here.
good, good. So,
Um.
anyways,
Yeah, that's cool, man. So yeah, cosplay's a thing we want to try. So absolutely, that sounds like a lot of fun.
okay. Well, I got a question for you. Okay, so one of the things I had written down, you know me, I keep my paper pad, and I write things down every week, and
Hmm.
so what is you've got the same thing. So tell me,
Yeah.
so one of the origins of this channel and of our relationship, us knowing each other has been video games. Okay, there have been some
Yeah.
video games of things that we played, and we did the BV broadcast for however many years, and with Battle Pirates,
Six.
and yeah, exactly, and but where did it start? Okay, now a little bit last week we talked about the TI whatever game and your Ganip Ganop and all that. But what was like the first console game that you ever played?
Um,
Atari maybe?
I'd have no. Well, yeah, I played Atari too, but I don't remember on the Atari. I had an 800, so I used to program on it.
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I played some games on it, but I don't remember any of them.
Atari
The only one.
2600 was the one that was the
Yeah, I had
popular
the one
one that came
before
out.
that. Yeah, I had before that one. The one I had a full keyboard,
Hmm.
and it was like a computer, and it ran BASIC. But I don't remember any of the games we played on that one. I guess I didn't really leave a lasting impression on me. The one console I do remember though was later, before I before we got a Commodore 64.
Uh-huh.
We got a Intellivision,
Yep.
and I used to play a game on there called Tron, and it had like light cycles and the disc throwing and a bunch of other stuff, and you could just play all these different scenarios. And I used to love that game. There was a lot of space games I used to play too. I can remember I remember it said, "Hello, Commander, computer reporting," and I just can't remember the name of the game. But every day I'd go in there and you'd basically shoot, Tie Fightery looking ships, but they probably weren't Tie Fighters. But
Maybe somebody
you just go in there.
maybe somebody will remember
Somebody
that
might remember
because just to remind everybody, since this is our second show, you and I are exactly the same age. I mean,
exactly.
to the day to the year. I mean, we were both born October 27th, 1966, and so we're the exact same age, and we're both a little pudgy around the middle. So, yeah,
That's love. That's love
love
handles,
handles.
bro.
So we would have some of the same experiences and the same timelines on, because if I ask that same question to, uh, you know, remember Liam 99 from Battle Pirates, if I ask him that, he's going to say, I, he goes, I played on the, on the, whatever that thing was, mate. I mean,
Yeah,
Nintendo, Nintendo
Nintendo.
64, you know,
That was his first console.
I don't know.
I
He'd
had
probably
a
say that.
Nintendo 64. I've had almost every
I've had
console. I
almost all
kind
of
of
them
gave up
too.
on them. I gave up on them after a while because I always found out like I'd buy games for it and I'd play them like twice and then I'd just like the console would just sit under the TV and I'd be back on the computer doing stuff.
Yeah,
So
see, and that's the
eventually I
difference
gave it up.
between me and you is that I love playing console games. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got into the Xbox and the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, which makes no sense why they went from Xbox 360 to Xbox One, but anyways. Uh, but I told you earlier before we were broadcasting that I had a original PlayStation that I sold at a garage sale about 2 years ago, and that was what I played my favorite game on. My
Hmm.
favorite game ever was Tomb Raider,
Oh, yeah, I
the
love that too.
original Tomb Raider.
I
You
like
know,
Nude Raider myself, but yeah, there was a PC port without any clothes. Sorry, that was a good game.
you guys. Anyways, Tomb Raider. So, can you think back if you think back, like there are lots of games you really liked and everything, but what was the game that you really just you're like,
One of my favorites, Bard's Tale, and it was on, I believe it was on the Commodore. Well, it wasn't an MMO. They didn't have those then, but it was a RPG,
uh
and you could, you know, there was dungeons and
was it one of
stuff,
those
and
games you
basically,
said turn left,
no, you didn't
pick up the
type in.
hammer?
You could actually drive through, but it was cool back then because like I had this like way of remembering, the dungeons and everything was in squares, like
Uh-huh.
like 10 by 10 or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I know what you're talking
And a
about.
lot of times they'd make you walk around in the dark or whatever. And I could remember we'd map out the dungeons
Hmm.
by just walking. And if we could step forward, right. And I would do it on graph paper. And eventually I'd map out this whole dungeon. So I'd know my way. So like the next time I could just burn through it. That was one of the things we did. And then I remember there was, yeah, I played that a lot. I played that. And the other one was Final Fantasy, like one and two.
And they're like
I
14 or
remember,
15 right
yeah,
now.
there's like 15 now, but yeah, there was only one back then, and that was another one I really loved that. And yeah, on the console, definitely those were.
Well,
I
on
love the Sega Genesis too. That was my faves.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
Oh yeah, I
of
played a
course
little
you
bit
played
of
that.
that.
Wasn't Sonic
Yeah,
the Hedgehog just a Sega Genesis version of Mario?
yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Same sort of
yeah. It just
thing.
had rings, and yeah, it was the same
Yeah,
game.
same sort of.
It was a little more. It looked better. Like they kind of sharpened up the graphics a little bit for that one. It
Uh-huh.
was a little more modernized looking compared to Mario was. Because Mario looked like Minecraft or something. I mean, almost it was bad. 8-bit graphics were not. They left a lot to the imagination,
Yeah,
which I guess that's not a terrible thing, but
yeah,
it just, it is what it is. That
yeah.
back then that's what our choice was.
You gotta love it. Well, there were some other games though. I wonder if anybody remembers these games because me and my best friend, I got a best friend back in Orlando that he and I are still friends. We still talk to each other once every couple of weeks. He plays Battle Pirate still, believe it or not. Uh, I got him into playing it, and
Trouble.
I apologize to him for that all the time. But
Hmm.
anyways, I used to go over there and play video games, with him,
Yeah.
and he's one of the lucky, well, the lucky ones. I just about said one of the lucky ones that never got married. He was one
Wow,
of
you're
the
getting
ones.
divorced soon.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble now. No, he was one of these guys that never got married, and so he was able to always get all the video game consoles and stuff. So he always
Yeah.
had games. So I'd go over to his house and play video games. But one of the games that we spent hours playing, Twisted Metal.
Oh, I
Do you
remember
remember
that
that
game.
game at
Yeah, I
all,
do
where it
remember
had
that
the
game.
ice cream truck and the clown on
Yeah.
top of it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and we played hours playing that one. But I think it was on, gosh, I want to say it was on original Nintendo that we played this game called Gain Ground. It was just one of those games where you could play two players and you would constantly do
Yeah.
these things. And we will play that game for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. Have you ever sat and watched anybody play games?
Well, I do now because it's on TV. Now you can watch
Well,
it.
that's what I'm
But
saying. Do you
yeah,
get did,
I didn't do that when I was younger. I used to play them. I didn't want to
you were
watch
the
it.
one
But
playing. See, I was the one
yeah,
that wasn't always good at them then. And I didn't mind
yeah.
sitting and watching a game play. So now you're right on YouTube. I see kids all the time. Like I'm a substitute teacher, so I see, these kids are sitting there like this. This is what when you walk into class, this is what they look like right here. They're looking at their phone. They're staring at the screen,
Yeah.
and and a lot of them, I'll walk up to and say, "What are you looking at?" And they'll turn around with their phone, and it's Fortnite. It's like
Yeah.
they're watching, but they're not playing Fortnite. They're watching
Watching
Fortnite
it.
videos.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
watching people play Fortnite videos, and it's like, doesn't that bother you? And they're like, no. And then I realized I used to do the same thing when I was young. I watched
Yeah.
somebody play video games, you know. So, but
Yeah.
anyways, okay. So, any sports games for you? Did you ever like any sports games?
Soccer sometimes, but I wasn't. I'm really, really bad at those kind of games
Do you remember? Do you
because I don't
remember?
get it. Because I don't get it. I don't have that mentality of how do you do this? How do you manipulate all these
Yeah.
guys to go? Yeah, I know. My brother used to kick the holy bejesus out
Do you remember
of football
the
games.
Atari football with the little guys that were shaped just like little had like two little feet and they would go, you know, up and around? Do you remember that at all? So you didn't play
I
Atari?
might I didn't yeah I did have an Atari, but I didn't I used to program on it. I didn't play
Yeah.
too many games on it.
See, I
I
had a.
went to the Commodore after that, and I programmed
Oh.
on the Commodore too, but the Commodore had so many more games.
Oh.
Um, it just was like
Well,
Atari was like, eh.
I didn't. There were very few times in my life as a youngster that my mom and dad kind of went all out. But I think when I was able to get it, Sears used to make the Atari equivalent, you know,
Uh-huh.
and you could play Atari games in it. It was the Atari 2600, but it was it was the Sears brand. And they
Yeah.
bought me one. They bought me a bunch of games. I had a ton of games. I wish I had all of them back now. But I used to play that one. But it made me think about. Do you remember ColecoVision? You remember the
Oh
little
yeah,
Coleco?
yeah.
Remember the little
Yeah, the
handheld,
handheld.
the
Yeah, I
handheld?
used to play football on that. There was a Mattel one too. I
Yeah, that
had that
you
Mattel one.
go up, and you go back,
Yeah.
over, then
You
down,
go
then down,
like
down,
then you go
yeah, yeah, and you go
yeah, and
really
take off,
fast,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, it was
So
just dots. It
those,
was like LED dots.
yeah, and they weren't even dots; they were dashes.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
were like
like,
little dashes.
yeah,
Yeah, like the minus sign in a calculator. That's
and so you
basically
would
what it was.
dodge them and go down to the bottom and go, and
Yeah,
then go as far as you could go, that kind of thing. Yeah. So
yeah.
so video games have come a long way
Oh yeah, that
in
was a
our
fun game.
in our
I wish I
lives.
still had that little guy because he was fun. I mean, eventually everybody figured out how to trick it into just so you could just do a couple moves and then just make touchdowns all day. But
You can
I
buy
mean,
that. You can buy that
yeah,
still. You can buy remakes of that ColecoVision or that Mattel game. You can buy it. So
either one. They were both. I mean, they were both. I mean, I just happened to have the one, but I did play the other one too. I liked those.
yeah,
That was the only football game I was really ever any good at. That's just because I figured out how to cheat it.
you were a hacksaw from
I was a
very
hacksaw. Yeah, I
young
was a
age.
hacksaw. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't. I never owned any pirated software, but if I could get into it, I would get into it.
no, yeah, you'd break in and cheat.
I would.
In other words, yeah,
Well, there's a will, there's a way, right? I
yeah,
don't even know how I figured that out because we didn't have internet. We had to like go like on BBSs
uh huh.
and bulletin board systems, and those are mostly local unless you could get around long distance charges, which I can't say that I know or don't know these things, but there are ways around long distance charges, especially if you're the right kind of computer guy.
Yeah. Well, that makes me think about. Do you remember the early the dawn of the internet age? Do you remember? Do you?
Yeah.
Because I remember getting the disc in the mail from AOL,
Oh God,
from
AOL,
AOL, and
what a
I
nightmare.
remember, because you would get so many free hours
Yeah,
of internet, and I remember plugging it into the phone, because that was the only way you could access the
yeah.
internet, and
Well, the 300 baud modems, you could
yeah,
plug them in. The ones just before that, you had to put the handset in them
yeah, exactly,
off the
exactly.
phone.
So I had a computer that had that had a I was a Mac guy. I had a Mac back before Macs were popular to have and sexy, you know.
Yeah.
And I was able to use AOL, and I had an AOL. Here's the funny part: I had an AOL email all the way until 2005. I mean,
Yeah.
is AOL even around anymore? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think they're still around in some capacity, but yeah, AOL, actually, I was on the internet before that because I already knew how to get on. Otherwise, I just had an ISP and stuff like that. So, I was never a big fan of AOL. I just know that, when I started doing technical support, AOL would screw up the entire computer every time. So
Really?
people in the office would try to put that on their computer, and then they would have nothing but problems. So I had to we had to ban that software from our
But
repertoire. We was like,
but
no, you can't have
that was in the early days. That was the only way to get email almost,
that. Yeah.
unless
Well,
you
yeah.
had, you know, nowadays we think of it as so simplified, I mean, if you want an email, if and you don't have one, what do? You just go to
Go to
Gmail and get one.
Gmail
Yeah,
or
you get one.
whatever,
Or
whoever.
any number of different places and you can get it. But, I mean, back then it wasn't like that. It was and everything costs money, I mean,
Yeah,
everything
even email now it does. Even with my domain, I have to pay for the email now. They don't even give me a free one. I had a free one, and they took it away. I'm like, what the hell? Because I'm sitting here trying to figure out why don't I'm not getting any email for fear anymore. And then I found out. Now I know why. They took my email away. I had to pay $5 to get it back. So,
Right. By the way,
yeah.
my nephew's in the chat. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hello, Nev. Oh, Ben. Okay. Hey, Ben.
Yeah, so he might he might not know like I said, in the beginning
You
we'll
said there's
probably
still a couple of million subscribers on
yeah, just a
AOL.
couple exactly.
Yeah.
The genesis of what we're doing here, and we'll say this probably for the first few weeks, and after this we'll quit saying this, but it's called duality because we're like twin sons
Two
from different
sides of a different coins.
two
Yeah.
sides of a different coin. We're
That's two
exactly
sides
the
of a
same
coin.
age. That's a funny that's the part that I can't get over. It's that you and I are, I mean, not just
Literally
close,
exactly the same
literally
age.
exactly the same day we were born.
Hmm.
I don't even know if I could look back at my birth certificate and tell you what hour I was born, but
I don't know. I could swear mine was like 5 in the morning
yeah,
or something.
but the funny part is that you and I both worked at hotels in our
Yeah.
lives, right? And we ended up hitting each other. What about what when was it? About 6 years ago. So,
Six, 7 years. Yeah.
so just in case like people like my nephew that was watching now, that's how I know this guy. So
Now you really got to behave. You got family watch. And did
I
your
don't.
mom watch last week's show?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
she commented on something. Oh,
Oh,
when I commented on the Ganip Ganop thing, when you said you played Ganip Ganop, and then
yeah.
and I said I wasn't allowed to play with my Ganip Ganop in public, my mom wrote
Wow.
something about being sad or whatever, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh
that's sad.
mom,
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself,
No.
oh mom, you know, I mean, I had it was just
Yeah.
some offhand
I know you
comment,
wrote
but
me about that. I was like, your mom watched the show?
yeah.
Oh my god.
So no,
Yeah, I
no,
don't
no,
think
no.
my dad watches. I don't think my dad could watch too, but he doesn't. I don't.
Hey, in
He's
in the,
fine.
in the end, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to say anything I mean, to offend my mom or my niece or
Well,
nephew or
let's
whatever.
hope. Let's hope. We'll
Well,
just keep trying.
you might, but
I
not
might
me.
offend them. Yeah, and I am
I keep
good
point,
at that.
I keep pointing at you and you're on my
Yeah.
actual screen,
Yeah. You're.
which would
Oh,
mean that
you're.
you're pointing in the wrong
Where the
place.
hell is Yeah, Jamie's down there. I can't do it right because it's backwards from where you really are.
Yeah,
Okay, there you
exactly.
go.
So anyways,
So yeah, no, I'm really I offend people I don't even know I offended them. So that's okay.
all right, okay. Hey, so a minute ago we talked about this, and I wanted to get back to it. Okay,
Okay, what do we talk about?
I want to talk Last Jedi, since it's May 3rd,
Oh,
tomorrow's May
Last
4th.
Jedi.
I would like to talk about the movie that has created such a stir on the almost broke the internet, I think,
Yeah, yeah, I think it did. Yeah, it did
Uh,
break the internet.
so first off, let me ask you. Okay, so would you consider yourself a from 1 to 10, what kind of Star Wars fan would you consider yourself?
Myself,
Yeah.
I went to the very first showing as
Okay, I
4.
mean,
So yeah, I'd say 10.
a 10. Okay. All right. Because
Yeah.
I would rank myself up in there. And so, this week I've been at two different schools. Remember, I'm a substitute teacher. I said it again. But I was at two different schools and met two different 30-year-old gym teachers who had never seen Star Wars ever. Ever.
What? What?
And I said, is that
How's
even
that even
I
possible?
don't even know that's even possible. It's like it comes on TV all the time. I don't care if you don't watch Harry Potter. If you don't miss it, if you can't miss it on TV, it was on TV for the last 5 years, like every weekend on
Yeah.
Freeform or Disney Channel or whatever it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't figure out how you have never watched. I said you've never watched Star Wars. I said not even the prequels. Not even. I mean, because that if you're 30 years old, you were coming up when those movies were coming out.
Uh,
And they were like, no, I've never seen Star Wars. So I am still amazed that there are people in this world that have not seen Star Wars that don't know what Star Wars is, that don't care about Star Wars. So that being said, you and I, we have both just said that we rank ourselves as
Very high,
very
very
top
high.
of the list as Star
Yeah,
Wars fans. Okay,
yeah.
so what do you think is what do you think? First off, what was your first thought of The Last Jedi when it came out?
I tried to go into it without a lot of expectations, mostly because I was already accepted the fact that my Star Wars was 40 years ago,
Right,
and I knew logically I was thinking that they need to get rid of all the old characters. So
right,
I kind of just knew that that was going to happen, and kind of, or at least start to happen. And because they do that in everything with
sure,
Star Trek, everything, and eventually they have to erase the old, bring in the new, which is perfectly fine with me. I'm okay. I don't expect, you know, 80-year-old guys to be like the hero of every single film.
right,
Sure, they're going to do some cool stuff because they're old guys. Like
yeah,
we
exactly.
got little tricks up our sleeves, but I never expected you know, anything, you know, really spectacular to come out of Luke or anything like that. So my first impression of the movie itself was, yeah, let's go into this with an open mind and see what happens. That's
Okay.
basically how I look at
Well,
it.
one of the things I think the worst thing and the best thing in the world at the same time is the internet.
Yeah,
When
because it was horrible.
because people people for 2 years people are speculating and coming up with fan theories and all this stuff about about the movie, and then as soon as the movie comes out, if it doesn't, so with all the fan theories, you can probably break it up into quarters. Like a quarter of the fans think this, a quarter of the fan think this, a quarter this and this. So one of the things happens. So three-quarters of the fan base of it, they want this thing to happen.
Yeah, one
Okay,
thing, and that happens
and
in a lot
and
of
so
things.
when that doesn't happen, they get totally, absolutely hacked off about it.
They lose it. Yeah,
And they lose it, and that's what happened this time. And I'm like, and it's all because of the internet. If this movie would have come out however many years ago, it wouldn't be that
yeah,
way. And there's the Star Wars universe is so big.
right.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't that big when you and I first started watching this
No, it
back in
was yeah, that was it.
1977, you
Yeah.
know, but but it is now. There are books, there's novelizations, there's different. I mean, there are some Star Wars
There's
not.
fan fiction. Yeah,
There's
there's
fan
all.
fiction, there's comic
Yeah,
books that are not
everything.
non-canon, some that are
Hmm.
canon,
Hmm.
legends, Star Wars legends that are non-canon, but they're good, interesting. Right now, I'm reading the books that the Star Wars aftermath. I'm reading that trilogy that was written a few years ago to be in between the Return of the Jedi and uh, the Force Awakens. And so it's pretty interesting to hear, but the world is so expansive, and part of it is because of the fans. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
you can't tell me that these guys don't think about this stuff. That these
Oh, they do
guys,
all the time.
I mean,
Yeah.
that the writers don't say, hey, the fans are thinking this. What if we don't do this? So they do it. But what happened with The Last Jedi, and what aggravates me to death, is that people went into The Last Jedi and said, "This is what's going to happen. If this isn't what happened, I'm gonna crucify it. I'm gonna roast it. I'm gonna just throw it down, and I'm gonna beat it to death, and I'm not gonna
Yeah,
like it
rage.
anymore." And that's exactly what they did. You
Star
know,
Wars rage quit.
there's a reason why Rotten Tomatoes had such a high rating, but then the customer rating was so low.
Yeah, right.
I
Because they
mean,
they just
the
rebelled.
movie was rated well. It had good reviews. Ryan Johnson is a great director.
Oh,
He
he is
it
a good
was
director.
visually it was put together very, very well, and
Yeah,
it was absolutely, visually striking. Okay,
yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
now there were some things. Yeah, there were some things about the movie I did not like.
yeah.
I did not like any of the Canto Bite stuff. Okay, I didn't care about it. That whole plot with
It just seemed like it was just thrown in there to me.
yeah,
But I mean, I didn't mind it.
with
It was kind
Finn
of cool, but
and Rose Rose
Yeah.
Tico. I could care less if that was in there. You could strike. So I know now that since I own it on digital and DVD, and I've seen it probably about 9 times now, I know exactly when I go to the bathroom. Okay.
I've only
I
seen
mean,
it twice, but yeah, I get you.
I get up, I walk to the bathroom, I do my business, I come back, I sit down, and then it moves on. There are
Yeah.
those moments in about every movie that I can watch, but this particular movie was about 2.5 hours long, and all that Canto Bite
Yeah.
stuff was about 30 minutes,
Yeah. It was long.
and
Yeah. It
and
was long.
and that it could have been gone. Now, just because that part was there doesn't mean that I hated the movie. I thought it was very well put together, and it was the part that aggravates me is that this is the middle part of a trilogy.
Yeah.
So you can't expect for it to be. Um,
All the pieces aren't going to come together in
they
the
can't
second
all come together right now, and
one. No.
some things happen that people say, well, Carrie Fisher's dead. We have to kill her off in this movie, and turns out they kill off everybody else except for the
Yeah,
one
butter.
person,
Yeah.
but
But the
her.
one that's really
Okay,
dead.
but
Yeah,
see,
that
that's
was
the
kind of
thing.
a twist.
To
Yeah.
me, that's what it was. And then I would hear things like that Ryan Johnson did things because, he was saying "f you" to J.J. Abrams. I'm like, J.J. Abrams was a producer of the movie. J.J. Abrams did Star Force Awakens. He's going to do the
Yeah.
next movie. People are. I mean, I don't think Ryan Johnson for 1 second did things on purpose to go. I
He
don't
did
like what you
things.
did, and
Yeah. No, no.
I'm gonna get rid of it. You
I
know,
don't think they have any kind of rivalry like that.
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so either.
producers do.
And now people are asking questions like, well, are J.J. Abrams, is he going to retcon? And just in case people don't know what retcon means, that basically is when you go back and you change something in the current thing to make it work back in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Is
Right.
J.J. Abrams going to get this back or that back? I'm like, I don't think J.J. Abrams
No, I don't
cares.
think he cares about
I
that.
think there's a bigger thing going on here than they think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, they're gearing it up for whatever they want to make it after this trilogy.
yeah,
Because this, the franchise itself is worth just a shit ton of money. So
yeah,
they're
you're
not
right.
going to kill it off. They want to make it viable for the next 40 years. So they're trying to set it for that. And I think they did. I think they're moving in that direction, and it's fine. And I don't care if there's new force powers and all that stuff. I mean, they didn't always tell us every single thing in the movies, and I didn't read every piece of lore, and I didn't
Mm-hmm.
watch every cartoon. I watched some of them, but I guess I'm not a super fan, say, but I mean, as far as the movies are concerned, I'm a huge fan of the movies.
Yeah,
I love them, and but yeah, I wasn't upset by the Canto whatever beam
Canto
whatever the
Bite.
hell
Yeah,
Canto. Yeah, I wasn't upset by that. It was just kind of like,
it didn't need to be
it's
there.
not. It is like, yeah, whatever, but it didn't like make me mad or anything. I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. It was just to me, it just seemed like they were trying to do some sort of a cantina,
Yes.
like they did in the original Star Wars, where they got the cantina and the guys playing it was just kind of like that to me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of filler.
Well,
Like
it
I don't know
was.
why they needed so much of it, but okay, whatever.
It was exactly that. But it was done. The reason why they wanted to do it on that particular world with those particular people is to show that. Remember, Mos Eisley back in the very beginning was the scum of a den of scum and villainy, right?
Yeah, right,
Okay,
yeah.
the
And this was
worst
the
people.
same thing.
This was the same thing, except for these were
Yeah,
rich people.
these are
Okay,
rich scum villains.
exactly. So
Scummy villains.
that was a reason. There was a reason why it was there, but I just think it was. I think they spent a lot of time and money on it, and I bet you if I was a fly on the wall in Star Wars or Lucasfilms, or Disney's, uh, you know, conference room after this movie came out, I guarantee you they would have said, "We spent way too much money on that part. It should never have been there." you know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
so
yeah. I
but
mean, that's a lot of CGI, all them animal stuff that
the
they
thing
had
is though,
going
they
on
had
in
to
there.
try to do something with Finn, but they could have done more. But they
Yeah.
could have done something different. So that all that aside, I don't care about that particular part. What I like is that I like that people one of the big dislikes that people didn't like was that Luke Skywalker was not the same Luke Skywalker they knew from Return of the Jedi. This uh, positive thinking. I'm gonna save you, Dad. I'm not. You'll never turn me to the dark side. Now all of a sudden he's a cynical old man. And what You know why that people don't get it?
40 years later,
Let
though.
me let me
Yeah,
let me tell you.
yeah,
Let me tell you. It's because the people that were saying that are young people. They're in their
yeah.
20s and 30s. And when you hit your 50s, let me tell you, you are a different person than you were when you were in
That's
your 20s. Okay? Uh,
I can concur.
yeah. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that he, if you walk through the story of what he was doing, he was disillusioned by the Jedi. He was disillusioned by what had happened to him. He was trying to find everything, and he was assembling everything that he could of the old ways, and he realized that that old way was not going to be the thing that was going to keep the Jedi Order going, and it was
Yeah.
because it was outdated and old. And
Yeah.
so he felt a little bit like, I want to come to this planet to die, okay, or come to this island to die, to Octu or whatever. Now I will tell you, I could have done without him milking the animal
Yeah,
into
that
being
was
milked.
kind of weird too. Okay, I gotta
I
admit
mean,
that.
it
That was a
wasn't
little.
it wasn't just the milking part. It was the when he
It
takes
was
the
the
drink and
drinking and he's like, oh, and it's all over his face, and you're
he
like,
goes
oh god.
like that.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't get
I
that
think
part either,
he
but
did that for Ray's benefit. I think, just like, hey man,
he's just
fo-
messing with her.
follow me around.
He's trolling her. Yeah,
Exactly. So trolley facing. So,
trolley facing her.
but the biggest thing is that the movie itself was well put together. And yes, is there any director that could go back at a movie and look at a movie and go,
Well, fix it. Yeah,
and
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there's some, I mean,
Do some other way.
look what Ridley Scott did to Blade Runner. Look how many different
Yeah,
versions there were of Blade Runner. Are we going to
yeah,
have
because you
that
kept wanting.
in 20 years? Are we going to have a director's cut and a whatever cut and a what? I mean, I don't. To me,
Maybe
and you know what? I'll buy
if
them.
it'll make money,
I
yes,
mean,
there will be that. Yes,
I will buy them
absolutely.
because yeah. So let's see. What did my nephew say? He said there was 40 years from the end of the Jedi to then. I think it's ridiculous. It makes sense that he's like considering what they explain. Yeah. So he's hopefully, Ben. I hope you're agreeing with me. Where did Will go?
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
So he just disappeared and his chair is empty. I thought maybe Jesus came back, or I thought maybe Thanos snapped his finger from Infinity War and oh wait, I can't talk to you about that.
Anybody recognize this shirt? There you go.
No, nobody
That'll
does.
that'll get him going.
Like who? Like
Dr.
about
Phil will.
all of about six people played
Well,
that
Dr.
game.
Phil will. Oh, and so will Brian. He'll know.
All right. So, anyways, I will say this though, there were a couple cringe-worthy type things in that movie. The milking of the space cow,
Proverbial weird cow. Yeah.
proverbial weird cow, the whole Canto Bight area, and Mary Poppins, Carrie Fisher. Okay, I mean, I
I
like
did
what.
like the I did like the porgs.
Well, the porgs are okay. The
They
porgs
were
are okay.
kind of funny.
They were for kids, and that was another
Yeah,
thing
that
to
was
say. But
funny. Yeah.
let me just go back to Mary Poppins,
Okay.
Princess
Yeah.
Leia,
Oh, yeah.
Mary Poppins. Yeah. So
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I will say that I felt in the movie theater when I saw it. I saw it in the movies 3 times, and every
Hmm.
time when that part came up, there was almost this goosebump type feeling, because I
Yeah.
was happy for that, but I didn't know kind of, why is it all of a sudden that she's got this power? Well, in the novelization of The Last Jedi, which I have read, um, the she actually, before that time, do you remember in the movie when they're coming out of hyperspace right before they find out that the Empire or the First Order has been able to
Was
track
tracking
them?
them. Yeah.
They come
Right.
out of hyperspace. Well, that moment she's sitting at a table, she's got her head down. In the novelization, she's actually using the Force before that to reach out into all the universe looking for
Oh.
Luke. And she
Yeah.
hears the other ships that are with them. She hears the people that are on there. She's using the Force, okay? And she
Yeah.
can't find Luke. Why? Because Luke has cut himself off from the
He
Force,
cut
and she
himself off.
doesn't
Yeah.
know that yet. But she
Yeah.
is using the Force at that particular point. So in the novelization, you understand she's already using the Force. She knows how to start using it. Well, when you see it happen, like the Mary Poppins moment where she reaches out her hand, and in the novelization, she literally opens up her eyes and asks the Force to help her in the and and when she's in space and she like climbs a ladder back
Oh,
to
I see.
back to the ship, and
Okay.
the particles form a ladder for her to grab onto. That's what the
Oh,
no,
okay.
so the
So it wasn't
novelization
a
kind of,
bubble or
it
nice.
wasn't a I'm gonna hold, here's your umbrella, I'm gonna
That
float you
was
into
kind of
the
cool.
and no, but I get it, but and the other thing too is that it's also a throwback. There was a novelization of I mean not I mean a comic book of Luke Skywalker where he gets blown out of a ship and he uses the Force just like that to
Yeah.
sink to go back in. Because what there's a misconception that Ryan Johnson doesn't know anything about Star Wars, but he knows a
Yeah.
ton about
He knows
Star
a lot
Wars.
about it.
He knows
He
a
actually
ton.
posted about that too, like where he got some of these ideas from.
Absolutely. And
And it
by
was
the
from
way,
some of the novelizations.
I'll put on my Amazon wish list. I have the little Jedi things that he was actually talking about, where he gets things from. You can actually buy the
Yeah.
books on Amazon. I want them for Christmas or my birthday or Father's Day, whichever
Oh,
one. So,
nice. Yeah.
anyways, I will say this is that there were some things that kind of I would have chosen a different way to go, and I might not have been so plucky because there were some plucky comedic things, and that's that Guardians of the Galaxy type.
I think a lot of movies are doing that now.
Yeah, I mean, Infinity War was the same way. I mean,
Yeah.
there are those moments where you want it to be serious, but it's not. It has a little bit of
Yeah.
comedy, and I think that that's why they put that in there. But there
I
were
think that
those
just broadens the audience a little bit because, not everybody's a super geek and wants to go watch these movies. There's a lot of other,
exactly. Well, and that
kids and all this shit.
get
So yeah.
that gets me back to the porgs. People were like, I hate the porgs. I hate whatever. I'm the kind of person, I
Yeah.
hated
Funny.
Jar Jar Binks in the beginning
Oh yeah, I
in
like
the
him.
prequel movie. But the reason why he was there was to do what? Sell
Sell to the children.
merchandise to
Yeah.
children. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly why the porgs were there. It was very very,
They were funny.
Disney's making money, right?
Yeah.
Disney is going to make money in any moment they possibly can. Okay,
Well,
they're
I mean, Lucas was doing the same thing before that, but
absolutely.
just Disney's a little bit more blatant.
Yes, they are. They
They're
are.
just like,
But see, that's
yeah,
the
they're a
thing.
little
We
more
know
blatant.
it going in, so why do we get so ticked
Yeah.
off about it? And that's what I gets me back to the internet thing. The whole thing is that people, three-quarters of the people are not going to get their way, and they're going to pitch fits like little babies. you
Yeah.
know so I've always said, listen, you know whether you like this movie or that movie or whatever, or whatever you like the way this guy did that, it's still Star Wars. You can put out
Oh.
the worst Star Wars movie ever, I'm going to go to it.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. I had to go to it. There's no way I can't go watch it now. I have to
sure,
watch it.
I'm looking forward to the Solo movie coming up,
Yeah,
and
I kind of want to see.
it's looking like it's going to be fairly decent.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a 250 million dollar blockbuster opening like Infinity Wars? No, it's not going
No.
to be. Am I going to dress up in my Obi-Wan Kenobi outfit to go to it? No, I'm not. But I'm going to go see it because you know why? It's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah. It's like I even when I watched that the hell was that 3.5 Star Wars
Rogue One.
Rogue One. Yes,
Yeah.
that one really blew me away
Yeah.
too, and I was just like, oh wow. I mean, because Star Wars is typically a happy place where the good guy wins and blah blah
Everybody
blah.
dies.
Everybody dies in this movie. I was just like, oh my freaking god.
I can
Just
remember sitting in the movie
made
theater going, because I my son
Yeah, you're just like your jaws dropped the whole time. Like,
my daughter bought me my daughter and son-in-law bought me tickets for my birthday because it came out in December of that year, just like the other movies had been. Now they're getting all screwed up on months, but
yeah,
so we were sitting in the movie theater. We were there early like we did the last time, and there was a pretty good crowd there. And I was telling them about this fan theory that I saw, that the Knights of Ren, were some of the people that were, some of the, like the people. And he's like, oh, I've never thought about that. And then everybody died. And I said, oh,
yeah,
yeah. Then I went, oh,
that was
yeah.
insane because there were some really cool characters in that
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just don't expect these characters to die. And then sorry if we're spoiling the movie for anybody, but it's been out a while, so
Yeah.
you know. Um, wow, yeah, that one blew me away, man.
Yeah.
That blew me away. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 9, and
Well, I'm
like I
telling
said,
you.
I got the one on digital now, so I watched it one more time at home, and I
Uh-huh.
got like a whole plethora of stuff that I missed in the first viewing.
Sure.
So,
Well, it's
and I'm
it's like
sure I can do that again and again, but
the funny part is that a movie is just like any book that you read. The more you read it, the more you see it, the more things that you pick out. I mean,
yeah,
that's just the normal thing. So, um, you know, hopefully people. What I'm hoping for is when 9 comes out, people will just kind
chill
of go,
out.
you know what? They'll chill. Well,
Well, they
it,
hated Empire
they
Strikes
they
Back
did. They
too,
hated
the
Empire
same
Strikes
way,
Back too. Yeah, they did.
until later, and then
Yeah,
now it's like the best one.
yeah.
But it was like
I
it
don't
was
think,
weird.
and I do not think that'll happen with this movie. I really don't. Okay,
Well, it may
they're
not be
just
the best one, but it's not going to be hated as bad,
no.
especially if they screw 9 up.
Well, there has to. JJ's not going to do that though. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, he's
the
not.
thing is though, is that when you have 9 movies or 10 movies or 11, whatever it's going to come out to with Solo and everything, there has to be a best one and a not the best one. And I will still put Attack of the Clones at the very bottom of the list. Okay, I will watch it and I will enjoy it because it is a
Which
Star
episode was that?
Wars
One or
movie.
two?
That was number 2. That
Yeah.
was episode 2, The
I
Attack of
like
the Clones.
3. I didn't like 1 and 2, but I like 3.
And see, the funny part is that my wife, who is not a big Star Wars fan, we watched. It was on TV just recently. We watched the end of watched the first one. She got to the end of, she and with Jar Jar Binks, and she goes, I really like that one. And I'm like, see, that's the thing. She's a Star Wars fan because I am. She wouldn't have been if it
Yeah.
wouldn't have been for me. But she doesn't mind Jar Jar Binks. She didn't mind little Jake, whatever his name was,
I
the
didn't mind him. He just annoyed me. I
little
mean, it was
Darth
like,
Vader.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't care about
she
that.
didn't mind him. Okay, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. But you know what? She takes it for what it is. It is a science fiction Star Wars movie. It is not real life. It's not life or death, and you can like it or dislike it, and it's not going to be the end of the world. And
You can make up your own story in your head. You don't have to go with the one they give you.
exactly. Now I will now have you seen any other movies this recently? Have you seen Ready Player One yet?
Not yet.
What?
I guess I'm doing a double feature this weekend.
Ready Player One, dude.
Dude, I just, I don't get out. I usually wait till it comes
Man, I tell you.
on the TV, man.
Yeah,
I got a 4K TV. I'm good.
Okay, well that's fine. All I'm telling you is what I would tell you to
All
do
right, fine.
first.
Yeah, okay, I'm
Go
ready.
to
I'm listening.
Audible, go to Audible and get
Audible.
Ready Player One on Audible. Okay?
Is that a
And
movie or is that just the audio?
it's the audio book, the audio book.
Oh, audiobook.
Or but something tells me
This
you're
is a
not going
lot
to
of
read the
work.
book.
This is a lot of work.
Go to Audible
Okay.
and listen to Ready Player One before you see the movie. And I will tell
Why
you,
do I want to do that
well, because you'll first off you'll become one of those guys that likes the
though?
book
I'll be
better
one of
than the
those
movie.
guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I don't want to know if I want to be that guy.
Well, the thing is,
I won't read the book. You're right. I wouldn't.
Ready Player One has about 12% commonality with the movie from the book. Okay, I mean, it's got the whole idea of it, but it's not. But that's the thing right now. I mean, these directors have to make it fit into what are you laughing at?
Everybody's yelling at me because I
Because you
haven't
haven't
gone
seen
see
you
that
haven't
yet.
seen Ready Player One yet. I mean,
I'm sorry. I don't go outside,
I
man.
mean this movie is about 1980s pop
I
culture.
know
Okay,
that I do want to see it. It's on my
okay.
list. So I
But
guess I'm doing a double feature
but
this
I will
weekend. I
but I
got it.
will
I
tell
got
you
it.
this though. You can watch Ready Player One, but I would still tell you go to Audible and get the Ready Player One Audible book. Even if you don't have Audible, you can get a free month. You can get a free book. Okay, make that your book because Will Wheaton reads it. Okay, and I'm not a big fan of Will Wheaton. He's a liberal knucklehead. But you know what? I look past politics when it comes to certain things. And he read this book, and I loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife is even listening to it now, Audible book, and there's so much pop culture that's in the book that's not his.
Yeah.
Is he telling you to do something illegal?
No, I just
Cody?
got I got a pop up from
Oh,
somebody
okay.
in the.
Well,
Somebody's sending me a message.
looks like Brian was telling you go to Cody and watch it. In other words, do something illegal. Fear. I mean, Will.
Oh, he's trying to do me something illegal.
Well, I don't
Uh,
know that Cody is
I
illegal,
don't do
but
anything illegal anymore. I'm
I
too
don't
old
think
for that.
Cody is illegal, but I'm sure that the FCC would
Yeah,
highly frown upon it.
right, right. Okay. Well, no, I'm good. I'll go see them all. I just usually wait till shit comes out on the TV
Yeah,
because unless it's like Star Wars, I went to the theater
yeah,
by myself, didn't care, went. Called
right,
up, ordered tickets, whatever, and went.
yeah,
Got them online and was like, and that was how I forced myself to go because I already paid $30 for this ticket,
right.
and I need to be there at 2 o'clock, and I got to and we have those theaters with the seats that you can
Recline and
yeah, recline, and you order them ahead of time, reserve them, so I can show up right when the movie's starting if I want,
yeah,
and it's nice. So you don't have to stand around or sit around for 45 minutes waiting for the movie.
dude, 2 hours. I read Force Awakens, 2 hours to get in. Hey, but here's the thing. They let us in early. My daughter brought in an entire bag of Taco Bell.
Oh my God,
Snuck it in.
good for her.
Oh man,
Good for
she's.
her.
I'm telling you, she's a girl,
I
but
do,
she's
I
got
do. I like
balls
to go
this
to
big.
movies,
I'm
but
telling you.
yeah, well, I know where she got them from. She got them
Yeah.
from the wife. I
Oh,
mean, from you.
it must have been from somebody else. It wasn't me.
Yeah, it was
I
you.
don't. I'm not a rule breaker. I mean, I'm like, oh,
But
you can't bring Taco Bell. You
well,
can't bring candy.
you're the
You can't
light
bring.
side.
I am the
You're
light
the light
side.
side.
I
I would
am.
have told him yes, sneak it all in, bring a bag for me too. That's
Anyways,
funny. So what time? How are we looking on time?
I don't know,
We're
man.
in there. We're
We're
deep, man.
right there. So
So yeah, so we talked about some Star Wars. I want to talk more about some Star Wars too because I really like Star Wars, and obviously now I've got to better make myself a note about Ready Player One
yeah,
and Avengers. Man, I didn't realize how these things sneak up on you, man.
on you.
Yeah,
You know, there's this thing. It's called YouTube's,
yeah,
and
yeah.
YouTube's has a plethora of things you can get involved with. You know, like subscribe to, and in this YouTube's thing, you
On the
can watch
YouTube.
videos on the
Uh,
YouTubes about these movies and things. So once you do watch them, you know, it'll be good. So yeah. Anyways,
well, Ready
I know
Player
it's
One and
amazing.
Avengers
I kn-
War. Yeah,
I
okay.
know it's an amazing thing. Anyways,
Yeah, but I have not looked at any spoiler stuff for Ready Player One or Avengers.
okay. Well, that's
Now,
good.
Star Wars, I can't say that I didn't. I did on the Star Wars because it was just
It was
literally
everywhere.
everywhere,
Yeah.
everywhere. I couldn't avoid it. It's just like, okay, what are these guys bitching about? And most of the time when I listen to them, it's just like, oh, come on, really? Is this the biggest problem we're having now? I mean, is this really a huge issue? It's just like,
Yeah.
you guys are, it's like when I saw the first Star Wars, there was no spoiler sites.
No.
Like, there was no spoilers. There was no nothing. There was nothing. There was no, even after people had watched it, you didn't hear about it. They don't talk about it on the news or, that even on the BBSs, it would be pretty rare that somebody would even talk about that shit.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to go in blind. I like going in blind because I don't want to get all. I don't subscribe that hardcore to anything. I don't
Right.
want to. I don't want to have all this expectations and all that. I mean, I watched that cartoon thing they had for Star Wars, the Clone Wars
Uh huh.
thing,
Mhm.
and I mean, I liked it and all, but I didn't look at that as, to me, I didn't look at that as really part of the story that I know, because I only
Right.
really knew the movies. So if it was outside that box, I kind of went, whatever, that's neat,
Right.
but I'm not gonna like drill down and be all like totally like mind bended
Well,
over everything.
well, the thing is though is that the Star Wars Star Wars universe now is so far-reaching that it even goes into the Clone Wars and Star Wars
Yeah.
Rebels and everything. I've
Hmm.
watched all those and I see all those, but the thing is though is that I I get it that you can't if you read the novelizations, you can't copy all that exactly. Like when going back to Ready Player
Yeah.
One for a minute, there is no possible way they could have made a movie that was 100% the book.
Yeah.
They couldn't get all the licenses. They couldn't get all the I mean it was amazing, the book, but the movie was pretty good too. It caught the essence of what the movie was about. And it's the same way with the
Yeah.
Star Wars things. Is that I guarantee you that somebody writes this awesome script, and there's no possible way they can capture it all. And
Yeah.
so they've got to pick and choose what to cut out and what to leave in, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it can get a little aggravating sometimes, but
I like
and
the digital though because they always give you extra shit. Like they give
yes,
you the cutscenes and all that, so you can watch. And I watch all that stuff too because then I want to. That stuff's interesting to me. Like,
yeah.
well, what did they cut out? And a lot of times it fixes story
They should have
issues.
kept in
Yeah,
some,
they
yeah.
should have kept it in. Yeah, and that's why we'll probably see another version down the road called the director's cut and this and that. We'll see those later. I'm sure we've seen it with a lot of them in the past.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's one of those movies like when the first one was in 1977, the second one wasn't for many years after that, and it was a long time. I can't remember exactly when the second one came out, but it was a long time.
And then the third one was like
And
in the mid '80s some point.
yeah, so it was like, we didn't. I mean, there was no point in speculating for that long. You know what I mean? We would just be like, that was a great movie, and
Yeah.
then we'd just move on. And then when the second one, they'd pump up the second one, and be like, yeah, I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, and I already watched the first one like 50 times by the time I saw the second one.
Yeah.
So I mean, I knew every little nuance in the film, and yeah, it was just different. But
Well,
yeah,
there was no forum back then to do it really either. I
yeah,
mean, they were very limited if there were. There was no. I mean, and people just didn't get aggravated. Now we live in a day and age now where everybody's got to take pictures of their dinner and post it on Facebook or on Instagram or on whatever. And people it's kind of one of those things where it's almost like you and I are sitting here. We think people might care about what we're talking about, only because of where we're at in our world right now. People
yeah,
have people. So because people care, because people just say things whether anybody cares or not. You know,
yeah, right.
and
Yeah,
and
we're
then
just putting
and
it up.
people got to give their opinions. And so with the movies came out, they were like, oh, this was horrible or whatever, and it wasn't like that in 1977 and 1980 something, and then
Yeah,
1986 or
yeah, we didn't
whatever it
have
is.
all those
We didn't
outlets
have
and
all
stuff.
that, and all you had was movie trailers, and you had the guy saying, "In a galaxy far, far away, there
Yeah,
lived a Wookiee." No, I'm just kidding. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
You
yeah,
had
I
this
know.
this guy with a deep voice, and that was what our trailers were. Okay, that was what they were, and that was we didn't have multiple trailers and TV spots and all this
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
right. Yeah,
Three-quarters of the movies that come out nowadays, the best parts of the movie you can see on the trailers and everything.
yeah,
So it's aggravating. So I agree with you in one thing. I love seeing that the movies that are coming up, but there are certain times where I'm like, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see
yeah,
anything. I don't want to know anything because
yeah,
I want to go into it. But I am such a Star Wars fan that it doesn't matter what it is in the end.
yeah.
I want to
Still gonna
see
watch it.
it. I am going to watch it. And there might
Yeah,
be a day and age when the next set of because there's some really great trilogies that are on the horizon.
yeah.
Ryan Johnson is going to be doing another one, but the guys from Game of Thrones are going to be doing one, and there's speculation that they're going to be doing the Knights of the Old Republic, which
Oh,
is
nice. Yeah,
like a precursor to everything.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I'll
they
watch
could
all that.
really, and it could be like Game of Thronesy, you know. I don't, barring naked Jedi's. I don't want that. Okay, I don't think we need any more boobs on television. I'm just, you
Yeah.
might think so,
What?
but
Yeah, there should
yeah,
always.
no.
What are you talking about? That's like television's best point.
I just think there needs to be there could be really good programming. There could be really good a
Boobless
really
programming,
there can be. I promise there
Jamie.
can be.
That's insanity. I don't believe you're
Well,
saying
I'm
that
just
to me
telling
right
you,
now.
there can be, okay? And so I just think that with this new stuff coming up, I think that the whole world is going to get so bigger and richer that people are going to people are going to lose their minds on the internet every all the time anyways, regardless of how good or how bad
Well,
it is. That's the
yeah. I
thing.
mean, even with the stuff that we did in the past. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
when we got super popular, man, the complaint section was full, man. My mailbox was full every week. People telling me how terrible this person was or that person, and you
Yeah.
shouldn't have him around because he does this and he does that. And I'm like, I don't care what they do in the game. That's not my problem.
What was our okay, so now that we're kind of moving past the watching that
Yeah,
idea.
we're
What
getting
tell me
wind it
what was
down.
our top amount of people that were watching Battle Pirates Talk Live and all those when we were at our top, you know, on the Battle Vortex channel.
Yeah.
How many
What do you
people
mean?
how
How
many
many
how many how
people
many
watching?
people would watch it? I mean, how many subscribers and things were there to that?
Well, there's always been about the same number. I mean, the subscribers made it to 10,000.
Okay.
So it peaked at 10,000. We never really got over that. We've gone over it several times, but then
Uh-huh.
it drops down. So it just keeps going back and forth, up and down. So about 10,000, but the shows themselves at their peak, they were getting about 3,500 views in the first week,
Right.
which was a lot for that kind of show because it's kind of a niche group and you know it, so the big ones. So we'll say like Battle Pirates and War Commander, always over 3,000. Then you had like Vega Conflict and the Latino version of War Commander was around 2,000,
Okay.
and that lasted for a little while, and then it started to
Yeah.
it declined over the years, and it's really dismal now for the one we have left. But not to upset those guys, by the way.
Yeah.
They do a great job. They're a great group of people, but the shows have all declined on
Sure.
every on those games. And if I could get those people to do something else, then I would be happy.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing is getting them to shaking them away from that kickside tree. I don't know what that game company has on these people, but they tell me all this bullshit all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, really? So, why are you still there? They're laughing at you guys, basically. So
I'm just amazed that company's still in business.
I
I
am
really.
too, and it's not like they haven't tried to kill themselves off several times. They
Yeah.
do, and they've tried to sell their games a couple times, and they were gonna sell their games to Kablam for a while. They were gonna sell off Battle Pirates and War Commander to Kablam because Kablam does that kind of. Kablam's a cheesy, yeah. I mean, in my opinion, they're a cheesy company. They just try to figure out. They're like Kickside in a way, but they just try to figure out games that'll work. To collect money. They're not trying to make
Right.
games that are fun. They're trying to make games that are going to make you spend money, and that's
Exactly.
that's that is something I don't agree with, and I don't want to support that. So, and we've talked about this on all the shows, um, and I've talked about this with all the producers, and like, hey, look, we just don't want to be that. So, this kind of programming I like. I like talking to you every week, and I'm afraid though I think we've gone over again.
We have. Well, hey, let me tell you this though, okay?
Okay, tell
One of
me
the,
this.
one of the things that we want to do on this show is that we're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about TV shows. We're going to talk about pop culture, things that are going on out in the real world. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, it's going to be from a 51, almost 52-year-old perspective. Sorry,
That's
going this
right.
way. And so, the
Oh,
reason why I've actually, for the first time, I've actually been able to see on my other screen. I've got the chat seat going over here, and it's nice to see people kind of
yeah, it's like
interacting.
these guys that are interacting. Yeah,
It's nice to see that, but it's our perspective what we're saying here. Now we might end up having some people come in, above us and below us there, and kind of work with us a little bit. But for the most part, it's going to be you and me, and our
yeah.
perspective is what it is, and our opinion is what it's not going to change. Okay, I mean, in most cases, when you're our age, our opinions don't change much, right?
That takes an act of God.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So in the end, we may go, okay, whatever. We're not
yeah,
arguing anymore, but our opinion is what it is. And
yeah,
it may not be the most popular opinion, but it is. It's our opinion. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about TV shows, and we're going to talk about movies, and we're going to talk about old.
boobs.
Well, you can talk about that if you would like.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Mom, I'm
Sheesh.
sorry. I was kidding, Mom. I
Please,
was
my
kidding.
my mom could be watching. Please don't talk about it. I was kidding.
Mom gets this panel right here. She's right here next to me.
She'd be hilarious on here. I'm just
Yeah,
telling
she
you.
would be funny. I
Yeah,
know. If I can get my dad and your mom, oh my God,
that
that would
would be
be like the
funny,
funniest thing
actually.
ever.
You know,
That would be
my
hilarious.
mom and your dad on the
Oh
podcast
my
all
God,
over the
I don't know
time.
if I could get my dad on
I don't know
camera,
if I
but
could get my mom to download the program she needs to
yeah,
be able to get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
She's pretty good with the FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
so
Well, we
she's
might have to change up. We might have to go to FaceTime for a week,
yeah, no,
but
no. So
no.
I could have my wife on. She could sit
We're
next to
we're
me.
just kidding. We're not going to actually do that,
Yeah, no.
probably.
Well, the thing is though, is that we're just like little kids having fun. We don't want our moms
Yeah, yeah. We
in,
don't want our mom and dad on it. Trust me,
exactly. Yeah,
because they don't. They just don't need to know these things about
because
us.
this is
That
the way I would sit with my mom.
yeah, we'd be like,
Okay, mom. I love
yeah,
I love
mom.
I
Every
love my
time
mom.
Jamie said something bad, mom would look down.
I love my mama. You'd say something and I'd go.
Yeah,
All of a sudden
yeah.
my eyes would
Oh
get really
no,
big.
yeah.
Oh
Oh no,
wow.
my dad would say something either racial or inappropriate in some way,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, we can't.
Hey,
No, it
listen,
would be the worst
I
thing.
was the kid in my neighborhood that when my friends would come over, they'd have nicknames and things for me, but they knew that there was no cursing in my house. There was no calling me by a nickname. It was Jamie. It was not any other nickname that they gave me. And you
Yeah,
had to be careful, you know. So they would call my mom Mrs. Dixon. so so it was
yeah,
like so anyway, I was that kid. But hey, it was a good thing. It
yeah,
didn't hurt. It did not hurt me at all. So
yeah.
anyways, I guess getting back to what I was saying is we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and apparently next week we're going to be talking some Infinity Wars if you get to the movie theaters,
Apparently,
okay?
apparently, I've gone to
And
Affinity Wars this weekend,
and
so
maybe Ready Player One. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'll try to
I
do what I
I
can.
will brush up a little bit on my Ready Player One, and we'll talk about that because
Oh,
yeah,
you're really excited. I can see that already. Okay.
I am. So
All right. Okay,
so
man. No worries. I can probably swing that this weekend.
so my nephew wants to come on one week.
Yeah, I
He's
saw that. He wants to school
he's
us, he said.
he's on the YouTubes. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you've been doing it a lot longer than he has. He's probably been doing it longer than me. So
What's that? The
just
YouTube?
out there on the internets.
I've been on the internet for as long as the internet's existed. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I've been on since it started, pretty much. 1996 was when I created Battle Vortex. 1999 was when I first started my first radio show, which
Uh-huh.
in off for Ultima Online, and yeah, it's all history from there. So
All right,
I've been doing this a minute.
all
All
right.
right, guys. I think we're done for today.
I think
Thank you
so.
all for
Thanks for
coming
coming.
out, Brian and Phil and all you guys and Ben especially. Thank you. Uh, just keep coming back. Like I said, we're gonna do YouTube or do Facebook for a while, and then we might switch over to YouTube or Twitch. I'm not sure which. What we wanted to kind of see if there was any interest at all in these, and there seems to be one, so we're gonna keep doing it.
Like and subscribe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I just think you're supposed to
or at
say
least
that.
like the page. If
Hey,
you're on
whatever.
Facebook, like the page,
Yeah.
and if
And
you're on
I'm on
YouTube, you can
Twitch,
follow or
Captain Nash, Cap underscore Nash, twitch.tv.
that's right.
So
And
I'll be
I'm
doing a little bit. Hey, I did want to say though one thing real quick before we're done is that on September 14th, the Tomb Raider Shadow of the Tomb Raider comes out, and I'll probably be doing a little bit of streaming of that game. So
oh, okay,
because
cool.
that's the kind of game I like. You know,
Is
not
that a
the
console game or?
no, I can play. You can play it on PC.
Oh, okay.
So that game will be coming out on.
That has boobs in it, you know that.
She's a female. She does have them. Yes. So
Okay, I just
okay.
letting you know.
Wow.
In case you
You
didn't know,
guys,
I just was letting you know, man. I was just helping you out.
I can tell that you're married and I'm married and you're not.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
so,
I'm sorry. I'm
so
sorry.
anyways,
If
I
Jamie's wife watches this, I totally
on my
apologize.
Twitch channel, I'll be doing that. I'll still be doing a little bit of Black Desert Online. Also, I'll be struggling at Fortnite.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to be doing some Tomb Raider and some other things, and maybe sometime we'll talk about some of our favorite video games that we've been
We
playing
should.
on some other things. So we'll be doing that pretty soon.
Yeah, I stream on Saturdays at Fear underscore now on Twitch, and I will be doing Black Desert, or I'm still looking to do some Street Fighter and some other stuff. I've got all kinds of games I haven't even touched yet. I want to get in touch some of those. Dark Souls 3, some of these other ones, Witcher 3, a lot of them. So anyway, I want to do it, but I might be busy this weekend because I think I have to go to the movies. But we'll see how that pans
Nice.
out with my streaming. We'll see how that works out.
All
Anyway,
right.
thanks guys.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for
Take
coming.
care of yourselves. Have a good night. Think we're done. Yep, I think we're quiet.
Dun, 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 dun.
It doesn't ding on this one like the Google Hangouts.
Well, my